One of the active youth in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, who obeyed the Messenger ﷺ, and his heart was firm in the belief of the Quran, and he was completely convinced in the existence of Allah, and he anticipated and died and sacrificed everything to reach Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ once sent Tha'laba on an errand, meaning he sent him to do something, and then Tha'laba went. It only would have taken him half a day to complete this errand. When on his way, Tha'laba was on his way back to the Prophet ﷺ. When he reached close to Medina, and he was passing by a small village which was built of small tents. And then he heard one of the tents as though there was water being spilt inside, like a shower, as though there was someone bathing in there. Tha'laba did not have the right to open that tent and to look who was inside of there. However, his lust, his hormones played up a bit at that time. And the shaitan deluded him into opening a tiny crack. Then he closed the tent, and he screamed so high and he yelled so loud that he said, "Ma alladhi qad fa'altuh? What have I done? La ilaha illallah." Allah will now send a verse down to the Prophet ﷺ saying that I am one of the hypocrites. Because at that time the Quran was being sent down. He said, "Wallahi la yadhkurani Allahu ma'al munafiqeen." Allah is now going to mention me one of the hypocrites. How could I worship Allah and then go and look into to see a naked woman in her tent? How can I say that I am a mu'min? Allah is surely going to say that I am one of the hypocrites. سَيَذْكُرَنِ اللَّهُ مَعَ الْمُنَافِقِينَ. Yes, He will. Yes, He will. And he forgot all about returning back to the Prophet ﷺ. He was too scared. He did not want to hear anything, because it was almost certain that there was a verse sent down in the name of Tha'laba. He is a munafiq. So instead of going to the Prophet ﷺ, he ran away and he headed towards the cliffs, and he stayed up there. When he didn't return to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet began to become worried, and he said, "Where is Tha'laba? I hope nothing has happened to him." The next day came and Tha'laba hadn't returned. So he sent his companions outside to look for him, and when they went and they tried and they returned, they said, "Ya Rasulullah, we don't know where he is." And they kept the search going for about a week, until finally the Prophet ﷺ sent Abu Bakr and Umar for a special task to look for him and find him. He said, "Go, look out into the outskirts of Medina, into the cliffs and the hills, into the forests and in the trees. Search every tent, ask anyone that you see, and search for Tha'laba. I'm very worried about Tha'laba." And so they went out, and it took them weeks to search for him, until finally they approached this village where they found a shepherd with his goats. And they approached him and said, "Have you seen a young man? His descriptions are so and so. He is of this height, and his name is Tha'laba." He said, and Umar went up to the mountain, and they searched for him until they found him, sheltered away underneath leaves. His clothes were torn apart. He was withered away. He was so skinny. There was a disease in his skin, and he was extremely sick. And as soon as Tha'laba saw them, as though terror had happened to him, as if the angel of death came to him, he tried to struggle and run away, but they chased him and caught him. And then they grabbed him, and he said, "Please, please, don't take me to the Prophet ﷺ. Don't take me to him. Don't take me to him. I'm too scared." They said, what is wrong with you? Take a hold of yourself, Ya Tha'laba. He said, please don't take me to him. I know what you are. I know why you are taking me to him. Allah has sent a verse down concerning me, hasn't He? He's certainly sent a verse down concerning me, hasn't He? He said, Ya Tha'laba, we don't know why the Prophet ﷺ is asking for you. Please come with us. He said, yes, I know why. I know why. They said, Wallahi, we have to take you to him. It is a commandment from the Prophet. And so they dragged him on his feet towards the Prophet ﷺ. And they placed him in his house. And they told him, Tha'laba is at his home. So the Prophet ﷺ came to him. And he kneeled down and kissed him on his forehead. And he said to him, Ya Tha'laba, what is wrong? What do you yearn for? And he said, Inni arju rahmatullah. I hope for the mercy of Allah and His forgiveness. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَرْجُو. Then ask Allah with that which you are hoping for. وَإِجْعَلِ الظَّنَّ بِاللَّهِ حَسَنًا. And make your assumption about Allah good. You will find it. And then he made a dua. And the Prophet ﷺ read on his head and made a dua for him. Then all of a sudden, Tha'laba said, Ya Rasulullah, I feel as though there are thousands of ants crawling on my body. He said to him, أَوَتَجِدُ ذَلِكَ يَا ثَعْلَبَ? Can you really feel that? And he said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And I'm about to go unconscious. And then the Prophet ﷺ said to him, إِنَّهُ الْمَوْتُ قَدْ نَزَلَ بِكَ يَا ثَعْلَبَ فَقُلْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. It is death. It has now come and struck on you. You are dying, Ya Tha'laba. So say, La ilaha illallah. And then Tha'laba began to repeat those words. He said, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And he repeated those words until finally his soul escaped from his body.